If you're always forgetting whatever you read or you find it difficult to keep information for long periods of time, this video is for you because in this video I'm going to be sharing tips that have helped me a lot to keep information and not forget. Now, the number one thing I'll say is read at your peak hours. And what do I mean by this? Your peak hours are those hours of the day that you know that your brain is functioning at its best. You know yourself, you know the times of the day when it seems like you're super active and your brain is able to absorb anything. See, there are advantages, so many advantages to doing this. For example, I like to wake up around 1, 2 a.m. and read till daybreak. And I've discovered that this really helps me because I just woke up, my attention is not divided, my mind doesn't have so many things going on yet, my brain is relaxed, refreshed, and ready to absorb as much information as possible. Whenever I read during this hours, I'm able to assimilate very, very well, very, very fast, and I'm able to keep the information that I learn longer than when I read at other hours of the day. For example, I'm usually drowsy between 10 and 1. So if I decide to read at that time of the day, I will just be staring at the textbook. I will not assimilate anything. And that goes for you as well. You need to study yourself and understand yourself. Understand those hours of the day that your brain does very well. And you utilize those hours well. If you read during those hours, your concentration will be better. And you will be able to understand faster, assimilate so much more, and be able to keep whatever information that you read. So read at your peak hours. Another thing is stop multitasking. And I know that some people might disagree with this advice, but actually, especially when you're first trying to store an information in your mind, it is a new information or a new topic that you're trying to learn, don't multitask. For example, don't be listening to like 1,000 different songs while you study, because which one do you want your brain to focus on? Is it the song or your book? So I know that so many people claim that this works for them, but I just cannot understand how it works for them, because you might think that you're assimilating or you might think that you're understanding, and then after that period of time, if you try to remember what you learned, it's all gone. That's because your brain was trying to focus on two things at once, on the music and also on your book. If you like to study with music, it's advisable that you study with sounds of music that do not have lyrics or have distracting effects, or you use a particular song that is on repeat. I have discovered that when I have a song on repeat and I am studying, it helps to block out outside sounds. It is also not distracting because after the first two times that the song has played, it becomes background sound for the brain. So the brain is no longer focusing on the song, but it focuses on the book I'm trying to read. So preferably read without the music. But if you must read with music, read with music that has no lyrics or sound effects, or you read with a particular song on repeat so that the brain gets used to it and it is able to ignore the sound and focus on the book. The reason why most people do not remember what they read is because it was not even stored in the first place. They just thought it was being stored, but it wasn't. The brain was too distracted to actually record the information that it was being given. So concentrate, let your attention be on what you're trying to learn. Another thing that really helps to keep information is to give the new information a structure. Say, for example, you're trying to learn a new topic. Give the topic a structure. You can do this by writing out all of the subtopics under the topic. So this gives you an idea of what the topic is all about and helps you to connect the information from each subtopic of that topic together. It has been proven that we learn by association. So when you're able to connect all of those subtopics together in your mind, when you remember a subtopic, it triggers the remembrance of the other subtopics. So give the material you're trying to study a structure. Another way you can do this is to use mind mapping. Mind mapping basically helps you to group the ideas in the topic, the similar ideas in the new topic together, so that you're able to remember well and connect the related information together in your mind. Another tip that helps to remember things is to jot when you're reading. See, when you're jotting, it helps you, it forces you to concentrate more on what you're reading. and this helps the new information to stick more. So write down as you read. Another reason why you should jot is because it helps you during your revision. You don't have to go back and start flipping through the textbook again. When you have it jotted down, it is easy for you to just check through and revise when you need to. When you're jotting, you can use different pen colors. It also helps. Using different colors helps with remembering whatever you read. As you're jotting down, there might be things that you want to be able to immediately find when you open a page, or you want to be able to immediately remember when you open a page. So you can use different colors to write those information, or you can even underline them depending on what works for you or what is available. Another tip that I'm going to be mentioning is this: make your studying very, very interesting. See, nobody is saying that your reading has to be boring. Be creative about reading and use your creativity, use humor. Many of us can still remember the things that we laughed about in class when we were being taught, or the things that we joked about, maybe things that reminded us of something else. So use whatever method you need to learn the new information. Use songs if you have to. There are songs that we learned from when we were young that contain some information or the other that we still remember till now. So use that same technique. Use songs if you have to. Use mnemonics. Mnemonics helps you to remember the material. For instance, you can put together the first letter of a number of things that you're trying to learn to form something or words that you can remember later, or that helps you to remember very quickly. You can use your favorite movie characters. You can use whatever is coming to mind at the time to code the information for yourself. So be creative, make it interesting. Everybody forgets boring stuff. Can you remember a movie or a comedy that you watched years ago and you still remember it today because it was a very, very interesting watch for you? So make your reading that way as well. Turn the old information into movies in your mind if you have to. Turn them into interesting pictures, funny pictures. Just be creative with your reading. Don't restrict yourself and make the stuff boring for yourself. Another thing is to use active recall. And I know that you've heard active recall a whole number of times. Active recall means you trying to retrieve the information that you stored. You making the effort to remember the things that you learned without checking where you learned it from. There are a number of ways in which you can practice active recall. The first way is to solve as many questions as possible on what you just learned. As you solve questions, it forces you to remember what you learned and apply them, and it reinforces the knowledge. If there are no questions at the end of the topic you read, or there are no past questions that are readily available on the topic that you read, you can convert the subtopics into questions. Another way to practice active recall is by trying to remember when doing random things. For instance, you might be doing house chores and just trying to remember, or you're cooking and you just remember a concept from what you read before. All of these things help you to remember what you learned. Another way to do this is to teach someone else. See, when you teach someone else, it forces your brain to break down the concept into the simplest terms because you're trying to make the person understand. So your brain is forced to break down the information into bits that the person can understand. And as the person understands more, you understand more as well. Just teach whatever you learned because it really helps. It is a very good form of active recall. It helps your brain to dwell on the information more and to process the information better and keep the information for longer periods of time. So teach somebody what you read. I hope that from now you can store information for longer periods of time in your brain and not forget. See you in my next video. Bye.